Hello there. Welcome to a kind of late Babel guide, but hey, it's here. So, this one's honestly gonna be really simple. If you guys want any detailed specifics about how Babel and how it itself actually works, feel free to check out one of my old guides, which are all linked. It's pretty easy to find, and they explain in depth like what Babel is and how it actually works. But assuming you've been following along, I'm not going to repeat all that stuff because you'll know it already. I'm going to tell you a quick summary of the things that you need to know to make this Babel easy. So most of you should already know, but I will refresh on the rewards. Basically, you have to play each stage once at level 1 or above, so with any single debuff, and that will get you these 3 rewards. And then everything else just comes down to putting extra buffs on for score, and you can come all the way down to 120 points and you'll have all the rewards. Anything after that is just extra for these badges. Now, I will say this is probably the easiest Babel I've done so far, and probably the one I've given the least craps about as well. There's not actually a lot going on in this Babel, so the long and the short of it is either wail more or melt HP a bit longer. Like, there's not much to it. There's a few things, and that's what I'm going to go over in this guide, but that's the simple summary of this Babel. It's either wail more or just grind HP a bit longer. Let's get into what's actually different in this Babel. Starting with stages 2 and 3, just a quick note for them. If you have any characters that are Gen 2, oh my goodness, you are going to have an easy time. This is zero sweat. Now, I'm going to do things out of order because I can and I want to. So, starting with stage 2, Ayla is actually really, really bad for this stage because of her ult and how it works. She'll get grabbed really easily, so just keep that in mind. I decided to meld out, and obviously you can see I don't have a full score because I wasn't that interested in melding for that long. But as you can see, the Gen 2 characters, zero sweat, straight up, full score on these 2 stages. So the main thing you want to be aware of with this stage is this debuff here, closed loop. And what that will do is that will make it that if you are more than 4 meters away, then the main boss will take a lot less damage. As long as you keep that in mind, that's pretty much everything that matters for the debuffs. Otherwise, it's pretty much just stacking HP and defense and all the rest of it, making you easier to get one shot. As for the mechanic itself, pretty much don't get hit by this certain attack when she goes to grab. And if you do, she will now own that character until you attack her from behind. This, however, is not great because you still have to attack many, many, many times before the character gets unlocked. It's not like a couple hits and you get your character back. You will see during the match there's actually a red and a blue bar, depending on which character, if it's red or blue QTE, or yellow even, that gets taken. And you'll see the bar very, very slowly go down. It's really slow, like really slow. So pretty much just try not to get the character taken in the first place. But eventually it will go down and you will unlock that character. In my experience, I honestly just found that by the time the character was unlocked, she was dead anyway. So yeah, it takes a while. I'll go through my teams quickly so you know what was good and easy for me and what wasn't. Basically, Ayla is going to get grabbed really easily thanks to all of her attacks being real up close and personal, and just it was not a good time. Chrome is an absolute chat. He's going to make life easy because if the enemy is stunned and frozen, well, guess what? They can't attack you. And Plume is Plume. Drop damage, bail, try not to get caught. Again, Gen 2 characters you're not going to struggle with. So we had Karen, and Karen just absolutely annihilated the boss in like 2 rotations. Selena is going to be the awkward one, where her ult is kind of similar to Ayla in the fact that it puts you in the enemy's face. However, it's a little bit better because you're dashing. You're not just straight up like planting yourself there. And then moving on to Luna, pretty similar experience to Plume. Do your damage, bail. And that brings us to Team 1. We're doing everything backwards today. Nanami was my bait character. This did not go well for the boss. So the boss decided that stealing Nanami was the choice, which, of course, Nanami deals no damage, so my Gen 2 character was fine. And Liv also deals a stack of damage, so yeah, no sweat. Easiest clear I did. Not choice stealing for the boss, but that's the boss's problem, not mine. Okay, moving on to stage 1. I guess we'll do something kind of in order. Stage 1 is Uniframes, so these are the teams I used. So pretty much every buff you can select on this stage is just either stacking HP or defense or something that just makes the enemy harder to kill. And the ones that you want to watch out for is this one here, where they're not affected by the matrix, which can make things tricky for you. And basically this stage is going to be don't get mobbed, don't get overrun. Even if you come in here, you can see that the more corrupted that survive, the main one will get more power up. And this one here can also be quite annoying because it spawns an extra 2 corrupted in. So pretty much don't get mobbed. The easiest way to do that is by turning some of the buffs off. If you come in and read, some of them will spawn extra corrupted, like this one here. So if you have this buff turned off and the matrix ignore buff also turned off, that's probably the 2 best ones. And then it's just a case of, again, don't get mobbed. If you're struggling because your account's not good enough, or skill, or whatever the case may be, just try turning off some HP, try turning off Berserk or something, all of the things that can one-hit you. I will say that the Uniframe stage was probably the most difficult one this Babel by a long shot, and usually Uniframe stages are the easy one where you can basically get full score with like 1 Uniframe. I think this one was much more challenging just due to the fact that there are so many enemies that you can be mobbed and get into a really unfavorable situation. And once it goes downhill, it's basically just you're going to have to restart. So with that in mind, that's probably the trickiest stage this Babel, let's move on to the 3rd stage. You want to know all the secrets of Alpha? She gets motivated. That's it. She gets motivated at 80 and 40% HP. That's it. That's Alpha stage. The only buff that you'll want to be aware of is down here, and it actually increases 10-second cooldown to swapping characters, which if you're using certain teams is not a problem at all. Like say you're using Lee, for example, or you're using Liv or A2, then it's absolutely not a problem at all. But if you're using a swap team where you're relying on all the characters and not just one OP character or 2, then yeah, it's going to be a little bit annoying. But you'll manage. But this is the main game-changing buff. Again, everything else is pretty much just wail or grind more. As for this is the power buff number 1 and number 2, which will make her motivation. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I know that you can parry some of the moves, but my team's basically just steamrolled Alpha. You can see Lightning team was the trickiest team because they're all Gen 1s, but Whale 2 still has her place, full score, full buffs, nothing to worry about. And as for these 2, well, they did fine. Now, I probably could have got a much better score on this one, like I probably could have maxed it really easily, but you can see I wasn't using Liv because for some reason I was gonna save Liv thinking that, oh yeah, I'll use physical team for the 3rd row and I'll try and scrape up like Alpha, Liv, and I don't know, someone else. Yeah, that just didn't happen. I just caved and used Lightning team. If I could be bothered to redo it, we could definitely max this stage easy with Bianca, and then we've got Liv and Rosetta, but it doesn't matter. It's done now, and I honestly don't care. I already got 1,000, so that's plenty score for me. If you know how the leaderboard works, which I think most of you will, pretty much it's the first person to get max score, and then it goes down the list. So there is 0 chance of getting on the leaderboard unless you're in there in the first couple hours when this fills up. And that's the competitive side. There were some cool things with Alpha. I did notice that you can parry some of her motivated attacks and stuff. I'm sure some of you will want to experiment and enjoy the fight. For me, in Babel, I didn't want to experiment and figure it all out when there was literally no need to, because Whale 2 and Bianca, there was just no point. It's like, why would I stop doing the rotations and find out when I don't need to risk getting one shot or whatever it is? That's that. And moving on to the other side of Babel, the dark forgotten side. This is a literal joke. Anyone can finish this. It is not hard. So Ronald, for example, Karenina one-shot him. Literally, I started the stage, I did the hammer upswing, Ronald deleted. Everything that spawned in instantly died. This is all max score. You can't put any higher on. So I thought this was actually going to be a bit of a challenge, a bit difficult. Oh boy, was I wrong. But you can see I'm using like old characters. Bro, Wanchi? Like, it's not hard at all. And then I just got lazy and used Gen 2. So Again, Gen 2 proving it can just steamroll. These aren't even uniframe stages, but I just used uniframes because, again, I could. It was like, why not? I thought it was going to be really hard, so I sort of started with near team, but yeah, no. This is a joke, I'm not even sure why it's here. Please just do this and claim the easiest rewards you'll probably ever get in this game. Now, if this guide helped you, can you help me and hit the subscribe button? And also, go check out the other Babel videos if you're interested.